Hola y bienvenidos al Introducción al pretérito irregular. Welcome to your notes. They're an introduction of the irregular preterite tense. By the end of the day, you will be able to conjugate ir, ser, and hacer in the preterite tense. So let's get started. As a quick reminder, the preterite tense is used to communicate completed actions in the past. When we use the preterite, we're saying what we did, like I walked, I cleaned. So we use the ed ending in English. Let's do a quick review of just IR verbs. That's verbs ending in IR. Our endings are I, iste, yo, imos, istes, and yeron. So if I wanted to use the verb vivir, for example, I would say I lived is yo viví, you lived, tú viviste, he lived, vivió, we lived, vivimos, y'all lived, vivisteis, and they lived, vivieron, right? And this works for these endings work for all verbs that end in IR. In fact, for all verbs that end in ER as well as for IR verbs. But I wanted to just show you that this is for verbs that end in IR, and that's different from literally the verb that is just IR, because ir means to go. Ir does not follow these rules. It's not that we drop the IR and then just put these endings. That doesn't even make sense. Instead, we just have to start all over from scratch. But when you look at English, it does the same thing. Like we wouldn't say I goed, or he goed, or she goed. We don't do that in English. Go is also an irregular in English. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to keep that there. Instead of saying goed, that's not it. No. Instead, we say went. I went, she went, you went, they went, okay? This is the same kind of thing, okay? So here we're talking about irregulars. Is this really not highlighting? White highlight doesn't do anything? Well, that's lame. Anyway, think went. There you go. In fact, think went. Seriously? Oh, well, whatever. Think went. So, I went. We have a brand new word, just like went is weird. Oh, and it's called fui. Yo fui. And tú fuiste. And él fue. Nosotros fuimos. Vosotros fuisteis. Y ellos fueron. Look at that. Isn't that so weird? But that's it. And sorry guys, but you're just going to have to memorize them. There's no fun trick. There's no hint. It just is what it is. And there you go. Things to notice that there's a here. It's not fwo or anything. Otherwise, you can kind of just use the fui pattern with our normal endings. So we would get fui, fuiste, fue instead of fuio. Fuimos, fuisteis instead of fueron. We just have fueron. So notice there is no I here. Yeah. It's irregular. There you go. Okay, so that's a bit tricky, but there is good news. If we take this exact thing, these exact conjugations, we go over the ser and we put them there. Oh, look, there's some fun highlighting. Anyway, remember that ser means to be, and ser is all about permanent things. In the past tense, to be is also irregular. In English, to be is also irregular. Like, we don't say, I beed. That's weird. Instead, we just say was. So, beed is wrong. Don't say that. Instead, we say was or were. Same thing happens with ser. Okay, so you take your ir conjugations, fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fuisteis, fueron. You take those ones from ir and then you just leave them. And then we hop over to hacer. Hacer means to be or to do or to make. And you'll notice that in English, these are also irregular, right? Do goes to did. We wouldn't say I dude. Say I am a dude. And we don't say a maked. We say made. Right? So these are all irregular in English as well. Hacer is hice, hiciste, hizo. But I can't spell it like that because it looks like eco. So we say, haha, just kidding. Hizo with a Z. Hicimos. Hicistes. And hicieron. Notice that we've got those IE together. Hicieron makes a kind of a YE sound. Hicieron. And again, something to notice that we don't say hizo with a C. It has to be hizo with a Z. Ta-da! Now you may be noticing, hey, wait, ir and ser, they're exactly the same. So how do we tell the difference? Context. That's how. Okay, so if you see a sentence, oh, yo fui al zoológico, that's not saying I was a zoo, it's saying I went to the zoo, because you wouldn't say I was a zoo, unless you're having like an identity crisis. Okay, cool. So those are your conjugations. Know them, love them. And for the rest of the video, go ahead and read page 385 in Avancemos and complete the following activities. Here in Actividad 5, go ahead and try it for yourself, and then we'll go over it together. So we notice el fin de semana pasado, I can't even talk. El fin de semana pasado, mis amigos y yo, that makes a nosotros, so I'm going to put hicimos in this blank. 40 llamadas por teléfono. ¡Qué bárbaro! How cool! Luciana, that's a ella. So ella, she made, that's going to be hizo. Ella hizo 5 llamadas el sábado. Luciana y Florencia makes an ellas. So they made is hicieron. Hicieron el mismo número de llamadas el domingo. Yo is yo. So I is hice. Yo hice 2 más que ellas el domingo. Una persona en el grupo. Oh, this is almost tricky. We have una persona, one person in the group. So that's singular. That's like a ella. It's also hizo. 8 llamadas cada día. Florencia is another ella. Giving us again hizo. 2 más que Luciana el sábado. ¿Cuántas llamadas cada persona? Oh, this is a question. How many calls did each person make? That gives us hizo. ¿Cuántas llamadas tú el fin de semana pasado? How many calls did you make last weekend? Gives us hiciste. Goes in that blank. So we conjugated hacer in the past. Go ahead and look at Actividad 6. Try it for yourself. Come back if you need help. So in Actividad 6, it gave you sentences that you had to, sentences that you had to build. So you started out with a person like yo. I didn't put my yo because you can tell who it was just by the fui. But you could have put yo if you wanted to. You say where they went. Say yo fui al museo. I went to the museum. And then it has a cute little smiley face on was it fun or was it boring? And of course the museum is super fun. Fue divertido. So I say fue divertido. Let's go ahead and try it for yourself and use this to check your answers. Okay, let's check. Número 2. Número 2, they give you ustedes, acuario, y triste, right? You guys went to the aquarium and it was boring. Man, so lame. So you guys gets fueron. Ustedes fueron al acuario. Fue aburrido. Oh, so you got that. Fue aburrido. Also notice when we're saying we're going to a place, like I went to a place, we need to combine a and el together to give us al. right? I went to the place, becomes al. We've got a contraction right there. Fueron al acuario, fueron al museo. Número 3, we have the same thing. Mis amigos y yo, my friends and I, makes a nosotros. So we got nosotros fuimos al cine y fue aburrido. Oh, how sad. It was boring again. By the way, if you did not put a ustedes here, that's fine. You're totally fine. If you did put a nosotros in here, also fine. But you don't need it. You can have it if you want. Okay. Next. Oh yeah, and we still have our al. To go to the a plus el becomes al. Okay, next. We have Florencia, centro, y bien. Florencia went to downtown and it was awesome. So we say Florencia fue al centro. Again, we've got that al in there. Fue divertido. Notice we are actually using two verbs here. Fui meaning went and fue meaning was. I went to the museum. It was fun. You guys went to the aquarium. It was boring. We went to the cinema, theaters. It was boring. She went downtown. It was fun. So these are two different verbs that look the same. Okay, for our next one, we've got tu zoológico, and it went well. We got a smiley guy right there. So you went to the zoo, and it went well. So we have tu fuiste al zoológico. Remember, say whatever. Because to say means to go to the place. Here we're conjugating ir, which means to go. And whenever you're going somewhere, you need to have a. So we say ir to a place. We went to the thing. Okay. Fuiste al zoológico. Fue divertido. It was fun. And finally, mis padres, feria y malo. My parents went to the fair and it was lame. It was boring. So we have mis padres fueron a la feria. Fue aburrido. Oh. Okay. Notice we've got that a la because la is feminine. We do not combine it with our a. A la feria. Fue aburrido. Notice here our adjective agreement. How it went is always a masculine adjective. We're not saying that the fair was, we were not saying it was a boring fair. We're just saying, the experience was boring. So it stays masculine. So look out for that. If we did have aburrido and feria, together, we could say, ellos fueron a la feria aburrida. Now we need aburrida. Oops, I crossed out too much. Fue a la feria aburrida. Then we would need to change this to match feria. But that's not the case with our sentence, so I didn't do any of that. Okay, cool. For your next activity, you're going to listen to a little speech and then fill the table with complete sentences answering the questions. We'll do the first one together. So go ahead and listen to the audio for a bit, and then I'll show you what sentences you should have. ¿Quiénes fueron? Means who went. And ¿qué hicieron? Is what did they do? I think it's the same amount of letters, but just fewer words, or much more words in English. And then, ¿cómo fue? How did it go? This is one of those cases where Spanish is much shorter than English. How did it go? So according to our first photo, we have Florencia y su amiga. Florencia and her friend. So we'll say Florencia y su amiga because that answers the question, who went? But we don't have a complete sentence, so we need to put a verb on there. Florencia y su amiga gives us an ellas, so we'll say fueron. Florencia y su amiga fueron. And by itself, that is a valid sentence. However, we do want to expand on it just a little bit. We want to say where they went. Fueron al parque de diversiones. They went to, they went to the amusement park. So fueron al parque de diversiones. And there you have it. If you want to take it and center it so it looks nice, that's great too. Okay. ¿Qué hicieron en el parque de diversiones? What did they do there? Well, they went on their roller coaster. Subieron a la montaña rusa. They went on the Russian mountain. If you want to know why it's called a Russian mountain, please ask me in class. I would love to tell you. But notice that subir, we've got a regular IR verb here in the preterite. So subir with our subieron. And whenever you have subir to board something, you need to have that a afterwards. So subieron a la montaña rusa. And how did it go? Did they absolutely love it? Well, fue. No, it was terrible. It was horrible. It was no good. It was very bad. Fue horrible. Did not go well. Okay. So follow this same pattern for the rest of your sentences. You're going to want to use fueron, or maybe fue if it's just one person. You're going to want to use your imperfect ending, or not imperfect, spoiler alert, your preterite ending to say what happened, whether that's, yeron, or maybe that's yo, depending on what they did. And then finally, you will want to start with fue, how did it go? Fue something else. So listen to the audio, complete your table best you can. And finally, in actividad 8, you are asked a question. Did you go to the place? And for each of these, say yes. You should have a C answer. Did you go? So start with assuming that you did go, and then respond with whom. With whom did you go? And then what did you do? Using the preterite tense. So I will do one example, and then you can answer the rest on your own. Oh, by the way, this last one. Where else did you go? You can make anything up, whatever's fun to you. School, library, home. That'd be fun. Let's do in el zoológico. Did you go to the zoo? What did you do there? Well, you can say yo fui al zoológico. I put the accent on the wrong O though. I went to the zoo with mi sobrina. I'm going to say with both of them. Con mis sobrinas. I went to the zoo with my nieces. And what did we do there? Nosotras we saw. What were they super excited about? They were super excited about the cheetahs. Los pardos. So that's super exciting. That's a true story, in fact. And the cheetahs had pet dogs, like emotional support dogs. So anyway, there you go. That's everything you need to know about these 3 verbs. Memorize their conjugations. Complete the rest of these. And have a fantastic time. Be super creative with your ideas. Adios.